Welcome back to the AI Breakdown Brief, all the AI headline news you need in around 5 minutes. We kick off today with a story that hopefully is reflective of a shift in the phase that we're in, moving from just talking about whether we should be dealing with AI-related issues to actually dealing with AI-related issues. Yesterday, the White House and DARPA announced a new artificial intelligence cyber challenge, through which they will give out millions of dollars in grants to help teams figure out how to update infrastructure for a new era. The White House writes, the Biden-Harris administration today launched a major 2-year competition that will use AI to protect the United States' most important software, such as code that helps run the internet and our critical infrastructure. The AI Cyber Challenge, AIXCC, will challenge competitors across the United States to identify and fix software vulnerabilities using AI. Led by DARPA, this competition will include collaboration with several top AI companies, including Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, and OpenAI, who are lending their expertise and making their cutting-edge technology available for this challenge. The competition, which will feature almost $20 million in prizes, will drive the creation of new technologies to rapidly improve the security of computer code, one of cybersecurity's most pressing challenges. So one of the things that's interesting about this is that they're inviting both teams that can pay for themselves to participate, but they're also making about $7 million in grants available for small businesses who want to participate who otherwise might not be able to. They have registration for an open track, which doesn't involve that funding, as well as a funded track, which does give companies access to that. All of that kicks off this fall, and then teams spend a year in qualifiers, after which the top 20 teams advance to the semifinals, which happen next August. During the semifinals, the top 20 teams are whittled down to the top 5 teams, each of who get an additional $2 million, which leads to the finals a year later in August 25, when the winners are announced, with first getting $4 million, second getting $3 million, third getting $1.5 million. Now, intuitively, I have some amount of skepticism around this sort of funding or competition structure leading to the best results, but that might be just because we're not used to seeing this approach. Maybe this is actually a really good way to incentivize people to work on these types of issues, rather than whatever they might be doing in their commercial startup anyways, especially to the extent that this program ends up being kind of a feeder into those larger AI labs as well. In other words, it's not a bad way to spend a couple years working on an important problem, getting access to some government money, and showing off your skills to companies that might hire you or your team later. Either way, for me, I am mostly glad to just see actual action happening in this space, and it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. Next up today, we have a couple of updates from stories we've covered recently. The first surrounds China and AI chip orders. We've talked a lot recently about how there is increasing pressure on the Biden administration to make even further restrictions on the AI chips that are available to China. Since chip restrictions went into place over the last couple years, NVIDIA started to produce a chip that was lower powered so that it could still be available to the Chinese market. Now, with all the scuttlebutt that the US might clamp down even farther, apparently the big Chinese companies have been placing an absolute flurry of orders for AI chips. According to sources close to NVIDIA, Baidu, Tencent, ByteDance, and Alibaba have placed orders worth $1 billion for the rest of 2023 and around $4 billion for 2024. Our next update comes from the big Zoom dust-up. You'll remember that over the weekend, people noticed that a Zoom Terms of Service update seemed to give Zoom a heck of a lot of access to train their AI on customer data. Now, quite quickly, the noise got to the level where they had to have an official response, adding a line in the terms to make it very clear that users would have to opt in for that data collection to occur. And presumably they hoped that would be that, but it wasn't. Now the Zoom CEO has had to come out and actually mea culpa it and say that it was a mistake. Eric Yuan, Zoom CEO, said in a LinkedIn post, "Given that many friends have reached out to me asking about what had happened over the last 2 days, I want to set the record straight. 1, it is my fundamental belief that any company that leverages customer content to train its AI without customer consent will be out of business overnight. 2, given Zoom's value of care and transparency, we would absolutely never train AI models with customers' content without getting their explicit consent. 3, then why did we make a TOS change in March 2023? We had a process failure internally that we will fix. Period. Let me be crystal clear. For AI, we do not use audio, video, screen share, or chat content for training our AI models without customer explicit consent. 4, many of our users have asked me what Zoom's next steps would be after I shared this post on August 8th. We have 2 generative AI features on free trial. Even though we have several customers who have opted in to share their content, we haven't used any customer content to train our AI models. After considering all of your feedback, we are committing to all of our customers that we will never use any of their audio, video, chat, screen sharing, attachments, or other communication like poll results, whiteboard, and reactions to train our AI models. We will change our general terms of service, free trial terms of service, and our product to reflect this decision very soon." So this is a big response. This isn't just a note saying, oops, we messed up. It's Zoom feeling like they are so backed into a corner that even if customers opted in, they didn't feel like they had the trust to anymore ask for that consent. You have to think that this is a shot across the bow for AI companies who have just got a sense at this point that there is growing acrimony towards data collection for AI training purposes. Over in the world of TikTok, that platform is trying to make it easier to identify which content is generated by AI. It is apparently now giving users a simple toggle to let them identify if they used AI in the process of creating their videos. Now, in addition to allowing users to identify that their content is AI generated, it also warns that they must disclose that AI generated content or risk having it taken down. Speaking of content and AI, the latest big entertainment company to explore artificial intelligence appears to be Disney. According to Reuters, Disney has created a task force to study AI and look at how it might be applied across numerous divisions ranging from their parks to movies. Reuters points to 11 current job openings seeking candidates with expertise in AI and machine learning that they note touch, quote, virtually every corner of the company, from Walt Disney Studios to the company's theme parks and engineering group, Walt Disney Imagineering, to Disney-branded television and the advertising team. Now, interestingly, one source of Reuters said that it was a cost-cutting measure, or rather that they are looking to AI as a way to bring down the cost of production, which has soared in recent years. Again, perhaps reflecting less Disney strategy and more where mainstream media discourse is. Every article that has been picked up about this has included the idea that this is for cost-cutting right in the title, even though that's just speculation from one source and isn't necessarily reflected in any of those job titles. Again, I think this has a lot to say about where Americans are in general with AI, perhaps more so than it has to say about Disney itself. Lastly today, one from the uh-oh files. A grocery chain in New Zealand has tried to do something cool. They tried to create an AI meal planner app that would take the leftovers or random things that a customer had in their fridge and try to come up with creative ideas for recipes that could make better use of those goods so they didn't go to waste. This is a really cool thing in a time when everyone's trying to pinch pennies and cut down their budgets, right? Well, the problem came when people started adding items to their list that were not necessarily food items. One example picked up by The Guardian was a recipe that the AI app dubbed aromatic water mix. The bot recommended the recipe as, quote, the perfect non-alcoholic beverage to quench your thirst and refresh your senses. Serve chilled and enjoy the refreshing fragrance. Unfortunately, the recipe that it gave would create chlorine gas, the inhaling of which can cause lung damage or even death. Now, of course, the supermarket said that this was just pranksters being bad, and that they were disappointed to see a, quote, small minority have tried to use the tool inappropriately and not for its intended purpose, and that, of course, they would, quote, keep fine-tuning their controls. But we have to remember, whether it's a savvy meal bot or something much more powerful, the one thing that we can count on is people being people and trying to mess with it. When that leads to ant poison and glue sandwiches, bleach-infused rice surprise, and methanol bliss French toast, there may be a problem. That's going to do it for today's AI Breakdown Brief. If you enjoyed it and you haven't signed up yet for the newsletter, go check it out. You can get it on the aibreakdown.beehiiv.com, that's BEEHIIV, and get all of this type of content in the morning first thing via email. Thanks for listening or watching, and I'll be back soon with the main AI Breakdown.